everybody. Good morning. This is Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and this is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. As usual, I'm going to bring you some fantastic information about living your life, the best life that you can, and hopefully gaining knowledge for a better life. Today is no exception. I was explaining to him before we started the show, I went down the rabbit hole. You know me, I love to look at information on nutrition and fitness. And I found a group of people that has great information. This guy is no different. So this is Dr. Bill Campbell, and he is with Body of Science. You'll go back and look at his information when I put up all of it and his website and all. And you're going to see some fantastic scientific-based information. And this is the real stuff. So, welcome in. First of all, I am so glad to have you aboard. I love watching you on Instagram and all of your information. So I'm going to make sure we direct everybody over and take a look at it. Welcome in.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about our conversation.
Well, it's same. And the reason because many know that I've lost weight in the past and tried to deliver some information to people that is true and effective. Anybody and everybody out there has a credential of some sort or a lack of credential, but can say what they want to and publish their information or, put anything on social media. So it's always wonderful to find people who do it right and put out good information. That's you. I'm glad you do that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I have an advantage since I'm a professor and researcher. I get a lot of time to read the science.
Exactly, which is great because I don't. So thank you. We can put our heads together, I guess, and get some good info out there. So please tell everybody who you are and what you do and where they can go find you and all.
All right. So my name is Bill Campbell. I'm a professor of exercise science, and I direct the Performance and Physique Enhancement Laboratory at the University of South Florida, which is located in Tampa, Florida. And my research is focused on essentially, it serves people who want to optimize their physiques within a maintainable lifestyle. So let me explain what that is. We investigate diets, different types of diets, plus fitness, so resistance exercise, cardio exercise, and in some cases, some dietary supplements, but not typically the focus is there. It's mostly on exercise and nutrition. And we really try to help people who want to lose body fat, but do this in a healthy way. And one of the things that I guess there's two different areas. There's bodybuilders, which I love bodybuilders. I study bodybuilders, sure. But most people aren't going to invest the amount of time and effort that bodybuilders use to step on stage.
Right.
So I dial back a little bit what bodybuilders do and try to make it the most palatable. What will most people be able to execute on in their fat loss journey? And then the other thing is simply just, again, the basics. I get up in the morning reading research. I go to bed at night thinking about that research. I conduct the studies. There is no shortcut. There's no magic diet. It's the boring stuff done day after day after day. Because if there was a hack, I would know it. Now, that being said, there are things that are very simple that have a pretty good impact on somebody's weight loss journey or on just changing the physique of their body. And we can get into that. That mostly centers around protein intake.
Absolutely.
And resistance training. So that's what I do. And I'm very blessed to be able to do what I do.
Well, good. And so giving people, since I have such a short time, giving people information, jump into that. I tell people, though, I'll preface it, that, this industry that is out there to save us is out there to kill us. And there's a magic, there's a magic pill, there's a magic, wand of sorts that the industry promises us every day that we can get there quick and fast and guaranteed. And I love how you said that there is no such thing. It is a slow and steady wins the race type of thing. So how can you tell us about, the protein and building muscle, all these things that you just mentioned, I think are a lot of what my people are interested in.
Yeah, so let's go with an example, and I'll use myself. So if I'm going to go on a diet, and by the way, I go on diets a lot. I'm very good at losing weight, losing fat, but I'm not great at maintaining that.
Yeah.
So I just lean into that. So I'm actually about to publish a case study on myself that I did with a pretty long weight loss investigation. But if I'm looking to lose body weight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine how many calories do I need to eat each day that will maintain my weight. So I want to eat and I want to be able to chart how many calories. And for me, it's about 3,000 calories a day. So if I eat 3,000 calories per day, I don't gain weight and I don't lose weight. And how do we do that? Well, I suggest that, and I'm a scientist, so I'm always going to gravitate towards numbers. Okay. I suggest that people just count their calories. And there's so many helpful apps today. One app that I use is Macros First. It's free. And I just put everything I eat into that. I can scan labels. Some people could use just paper pencil. So once we know what the calories are that maintain our weight, now it's simply determining how much do I want to reduce them. And in my research, we reduce by about 25%. So that would be around, let's just say approximately 750 calories for me. So I'm eating around 2,200 calories, 2,250 calories per day as I'm reducing my calories. And I know that will reduce my body weight over time.
Right.
Now, here's some things that my lab group has published to help people. So one thing, and it's very depressing to me, if I said, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to reduce my calories by 750 every day for the next 6 months. Well, I would hate that. So one thing, there's this whole other research realm called diet breaks and diet refeeds. And what I suggest people do, and this is exactly what I do, is go ahead and diet during the week, Monday through Friday, when you're on more of a schedule. But on the weekends, bring your calories up to your maintenance level. And what we found, and again, some of this research is from my own personal laboratory, you're not hurting any of the fat loss outcomes. You would think by doing that, it would actually slow down the rate of weight loss. At least in our research, it did not. Now, it was a 7-week study. It wasn't like it was 12 months.
Right.
But what it did also, it helped people maintain more muscle mass during that.
Nice.
So point one, you have to be in a caloric deficit.
Right.
To help with this, take breaks from your diet. And that doesn't mean eat whatever you want.
Exactly.
It means you still have to be disciplined, go back to your maintenance calories. And that just helps you to look forward to the weekend. And something else I do is if I'm traveling or especially if I'm on vacation, I'm not going to diet. That's the most miserable thing you can do, is to try to limit your food intake when you're on vacation.
On vacation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what he did not say, folks, is restrict your calories down to 800 or, 1,000 calories and then go up and blow it and then go, for somebody like me and go up to your 3,000 or whatnot and yo-yo back and forth. What he said was find out your maintenance, which I help people do, and stay with that and then dip down. You said 25% and for a caloric deficit, and then go back to your maintenance for your cheat on the weekend and whatnot. I love that. I think that's great advice.
Yeah. And so my wife, let's just use her as an example. She's much smaller than me. Her maintenance calories may be around, 2,000.
Right.
So for her, 25%, that's a 500 calories. So she's eating 1,500 calories per day.
Right.
And you mentioned, what I didn't say was go down to 800 calories. Mm-hmm. This is, I would say, something else my lab does. We do everything we can to prioritize muscle when dieting.
Right.
If people embrace crash dieting, what happens is they'll lose a lot of weight quickly, but they lose a lot of lean muscle mass. Yep. And what that does, now, this is theoretical, but multiple studies have postulated this and shown this. When you lose a lot of muscle from crash dieting, what happens is as soon as your diet is over, your body essentially wants to get back that muscle mass. And one of the ways it does that is by inducing something called hyperphagia. That's an ugly word. Hyperphagia is an uncontrollable desire to eat. And what the researchers have found is you were going to have this hyperphagic, this really strong hunger drive after your diet is over, until your body gains back the muscle mass that you lost with a bad dieting approach. And what makes this worse is, your body will gain that muscle back because you're eating a lot of food, because you're ravenously hungry. But it also has something called body fat overshoot. And what that means, and I think that's what you experienced in your journey,
right?
You actually gain back more body fat than what you had before you started dieting. Mm-hmm. So if people hear nothing else than what we're talking about today, don't embrace crash diets.
Thank you.
25% is a great, and it's not easy. 25% is not a walk in the park.
Right.
But it's a level such that it will enable you to primarily lose body fat and maintain most of your lean body mass, especially if you do some type of exercise along with it.
Absolutely. So, what you referenced was, I explained my 13 years of obesity and yo-yo dieting, where I would, lose 30, gain 50, lose 50, gain 70, just back and forth till I got it, till I understood that crash dieting is not effective, and the difference between losing body fat and body and muscle, the difference between that. And people do not understand that these days. And now with all of the weight loss programs and the weight loss shots and whatnot, which I do with patients, but we do it appropriately. That is the cornerstone of my teaching right there, is no, don't drop your calories down too far and your protein down too far. You're going to burn your muscle. Then, like you say, turn around and get hungrier and eat yourself and body weight plus, trying to make up for it. So what else happens to the body when people, look, and maybe something to explain too, is why keto diets and the elimination of carbs, down to a ridiculous level is not healthy for people either.
Yeah, so ketogenic diets, they and let me just say, I'm not anti-ketogenic diet. There are certain people who respond really well to a ketogenic diet. They are great.
Yes.
The message that I do want to say is, some people think that you cannot lose weight unless you eliminate your carbs or lower your carbs. And that is not true.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you have a high carb diet, a low carb diet, a moderate carb diet. As long as you're eating less calories, you will lose weight. And again, I talked earlier, I did a case study on myself. I lost 10% of my body weight, which is, practically 25 pounds of my body weight, eating a very high carbohydrate diet. I mean, a lot of carbs. And I don't suggest that people do diet eating a ton of carbs, but I'm making the point, as long as you focus on calories, that is all that matters. Calories first. So ketogenic diets can be helpful for some people, and for those people, it's the best diet for them, and have at it. But don't fall into the trap of thinking, I have to eliminate carbs. I can never eat bread. I can never eat, have a snack. That is a recipe for basically failing.
Absolutely.
In about 3 weeks. Anybody can do something short term.
Right.
But if you're going to deprive yourself, and again, most people are like me. If I tell myself I'm never going to have a chocolate chip cookie
and that's the first thing you have next morning.
Guess what? The only thing that I'm thinking about and hyper focused on is chocolate chip cookies.
Right.
So it goes back to the basics, just calories. Boring, I know. But many people want something magical, quick. And it's unfortunately, and again, I struggle with body weight gain myself. I come from an obese family. I've been obese. I get it. There's nobody that loves food more than me, which is probably why I started, why I want a career in fat loss. I do my studies for myself in many cases.
Isn't that the truth? And we all do that. And lots of great longevity studies on calorie restriction as well, as far as, keeping our chromosomes healthy, telomeres, things like that. So lots of great anti-aging science, but nobody here said starve yourself. And we might spend a few minutes on the second half about the genetics of obesity and why you are not locked into, your genetics. Many people say I'm big bone, like my aunt, so-and-so, and my family was big, so I'm just destined to be big. And I would love to address that, come on the other side. So I would love for people to know where they can find you and more information that you bring to the table. It's great stuff, guys.
Yeah, so the best place to find me is on Instagram, and my handle is Bill Campbell, PhD. And what I do there is just a ton of education constantly about nutrition, exercise, but mainly fat loss and weight loss. That's mainly what I educate on. And I also, for people that want to go a little bit deeper into this, my website is billcampbellphd.com. And I offer a research review where I summarize 2 studies every month that are solely focused on losing body fat or building muscle. And you don't have to be a scientist. I break it down so that it's easily understandable for people that don't have a background in science. So those are the 2 places, Instagram and my website.
And it is great. It's the first thing that pops up on my feed every morning, and I love it. So great info. Thank you for doing so. Before we take a break, I need to say a couple of things about my sponsors. I have 2 wonderful sponsors, and one is Pinnacle Research, and pinnacleresearch.com. Can go get a free FibroScan. Bill, there is a huge epidemic of fatty liver in South Texas. This is a huge problem here. I know it's increasing all over the U.S., but we've got it down here. So go to pinnacleresearch.com. You can sign up for a free FibroScan. It takes 7 minutes, very easy, and you get to talk to a medical professional on the other side about your results as well. It's wonderful. And also have magnaweb.com. So Dr. Lesser, Warren Lesser, and his wife Mary run a great little pharmaceutical company that has de novo, which I use often in my MTHFR patients. People have learned about that in a previous episode, in a previous podcast. And please go back and listen to those. You can find Dr. Campbell this morning and all of my information about my sponsors and me as well, previous shows, if you go to drpbetterlife.com. Great website, guys. I went up and got going this year and polished, and I love it. So please go check out. Got a lot of information there. And you can also find all of my social media. You will be able to find Dr. Campbell here and all of his social media there. And please, drpbetterlife.com. We will take a short break, come back on the other side, talk obesity, genetics. Be right back.
Fatty liver is linked to 2 different situations, alcohol and diabetes or obesity. In both cases, patients can have no symptoms. In the United States, and in particular, Texas, the most common cause of liver disease in general is non-alcoholic fatty liver. Again, associated with overweight, obesity, and or diabetes. Additional risk factors include high cholesterol, high blood pressure, Hispanic ethnicity, and postmenopausal status. At Pinnacle Clinical Research, we offer a quick, non-invasive ultrasound-based screening assessment called FibroScan. This test is done at no cost to you, and we do not take insurance. The test will measure the fat and stiffness in your liver and stage your risk and development of fatty liver disease. You will meet with a provider immediately following your scan to go over your results. If you're interested in getting more information on your liver health, please call 210-529-7978 and schedule your FibroScan today. We are conveniently located in the Medical Center at 5109 Medical Drive.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is de novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes de novo Plus B12 so successful? De novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about de novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and this is Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I am bringing Dr. Bill Campbell here today, and we have really brought you some fantastic information about how to start your diet. I know everybody's looking at the, waits till the new year to get started on everything. Let's start before Christmas. I say, let's do this before Christmas and before Thanksgiving, and try to do things in a healthful way. I think before the break, I mentioned about having, obesity in your family and being obese, and that you don't have to be locked into being obese. I have a very obese family. I reached 300 pounds. I lost it, and I fought that, and it can be done. I assume that's something we can push out of the way. One myth we can push out of the way.
Yeah. So, and I get asked about obesity genetics, and I always make it clear, I don't study this. It's not my research area. So I'm going to speak more just my opinions.
Yes.
And with some referral to the scientific literature. So let me start with saying, do I think that everybody is the same? No. There are some people who are more predisposed to gaining weight than other people. And likewise, there are people who just have a harder time losing weight than other people. But that being the case, that doesn't destine anybody to have an obese state. So one example is, and I think it's in my current issue of my research review, they took people that had obesity, and everybody in the one group that they subcategorized, they thought they were obese because of genetics or because of a slow metabolism. And what the researchers did was they did an elaborate research investigation measuring 4 different areas of their metabolism. And they basically came to the conclusion, you don't have a slow metabolism. It's nothing to do with your metabolism. And then the other interesting part was they asked these subjects who were essentially blaming their condition on their metabolism and genetics. They had them estimate how many calories they were eating. So they had them write down all of the food they were eating for, I think it was a 2-week period. And what they found was that they were severely underreporting so they thought they were eating around 1,100 calories, which is not very many calories. They were actually eating a little over 2,000 calories. Absolutely. So what they thought they were eating and what they were actually eating was a big difference.
Thank you.
And again, these are people who assumed, well, it's my genetics, it's my metabolism.
Yes.
And at least from this one study, we can conclude, no, it wasn't that. It was the fact that you're eating a lot more calories or food than what you're perceiving.
Absolutely.
Now, that doesn't make it easier for that individual to lose body weight, but it does empower them to now take control of, okay, I need to be dialed in on my nutrition. I need to educate myself on how many calories that sauces will add, or drinking all of my fluids from calorie beverages like sodas, et cetera.
Yes.
So that's always a study that I highlight, because it does take away some of this. It's very powerless to think that you're destined to something.
It is. And I hear it all the time. The other thing that I hear all the time is, I eat good. I don't know why I'm gaining weight. And what you just highlighted right there is exactly why people think they eat good, but they gain weight, because they're not. They are not tracking their behaviors at all. And I'm very facetious and maybe inappropriate sometimes, but I tell my patients in clinic, jot down what you eat, even a stick of gum, even the air you breathe. Put everything down for me. Be honest, and come back in 2 weeks and let's look at what you're eating. And I guarantee you, we're going to point out that you're not eating well. Now, you don't have to do that, but do it for yourself. And then you'll see, and generally that makes a statement, because you're right. People definitely underestimate. So you mentioned an app, because apps are the thing now. Some people still do the pen and paper. You're right, like me. But what apps do you like to use? Give people some things they can take away from today that they can do to take care of themselves.
Yeah. So an app that I use, and please know I don't make any money.
Right,
I don't have
same
a code.
here.
I just use this app. It's called Macros First. And again, if you're eating, like last night, I made lean beef in the skillet. So I just scanned the label and it told me exactly it was 420 calories for a 4-ounce serving. So today I have 8 ounces. It's all in there. It tells me how many carbs, protein, fats.
Love it.
So yeah, macros first is what I use. I like it because there's a free version and there's also a paid version. But again, it can be any app that you like the most. And again, I started just paper, pencil, or an Excel spreadsheet. But I like what you said. You have to count everything because there's some people just don't know how many calories are in certain things. And if you educate yourself, even for, I always say, just for 30 days,
right,
you'll have an education that will last a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to know,
Absolutely.
butter, well, it's 100 calories with a tablespoon.
Absolutely.
Broccoli, that's almost no calories for a whole cup of it. So you start to, again, not that I love broccoli.
Right.
But,
nobody craves broccoli.
yeah, right. I eat broccoli, but yes, I'm not craving it. But it's just, you owe it to yourself to invest in the education that just tracking the food will give you for, again, 30 days. It's a lifetime of education.
And it will. And that is something that happened with me. Loved it. And you do not have to track every bite for the rest of your life. It's not like that. Just take a couple weeks and do it. We have reached the end of the show. I am so appreciative of you. All of your information will be on my website, drpbetterlife.com. It's really easy to find, and come find Dr. Campbell. And thank you so much for appearing today. I'm going to have you on again. So please feel free. I'm going to have you on. I'd love to have you.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.